Okay, so in this lecture, we're going to create a custom validator that will check that our user is at least 16 years old. Otherwise, it won't let them to sign up. So in order to do that, go to from scratch and create a new folder and call it helpers. Within that folder, we'll create a class called age validation and then press enter. This is going to be a class that contains our custom validator. And then we'll write the following code. Public class age validation, and that's going to inherit validation attribute. Next, we're going to pass in to our age validation attribute the minimum age that will be allowed. I'll show you how this is used later on. So this way, if we want to at some point raise the minimum age to 18 or 21, we'll be able to, because into the validator we're passing in the minimum age. And then we have our validator, which is protected override validation result is valid, and we pass in the value that is to be assessed and in the validation context. In the first line, I convert the object into a string and then convert it into a date-time object in order to get the date of birth in date-time format. Then I get the age by subtracting the current date year from the date of birth year that we just arrived. Next, we see if the actual date, the person's birthday has passed this year or is coming up. If their birthday hasn't come up this year yet, we have to subtract 1 from the age because the calculation current year minus date of birth year is invalid unless their birthday has occurred already. And then we have to take the minimum age and compare it to the age we just calculated. And if the age we calculated is greater than the minimum age, we'll return this as a valid result. And if it is not, we'll say you are too young to sign up. Now we have to make the change to our area model, because if you remember correctly, in our identity framework, we have an input model that receives all the actual data. So within our input model in our register.ch HTML, we're going to add the age validation attribute and specify 16 as the youngest age. Then press enter and save it. Then we'll run our code and run our web application. Okay, so then we'll create a new user. We'll call this baby account and then baby account, and then we'll set the birthday to January 7th, 2020, which is invalid, right? However, what we added was a server-side validation. I need you to remember that. So since this was on the C code, it's server-side. So we have to submit the form before I'll realize something is wrong. So baby account is going to be the email, and then we'll enter in the password, and then enter in the password, then register, and then it tells us we are too young to sign up. So our validation, our custom validator is working. So we have just created a server-side custom validator that'll make sure that our users meet a certain age criteria. And you could use this to do much more, like check inputs against database to make sure that they're valid, and do much more complicated custom validators that are not available out of the box.